So we're back on turffontein, a stand-side track for Saturday's 10-race program, which will be highlighted by the big feature that is the listed Swallow Stakes, which will be race 7 on the card, which will be the conclusion of the Bipot on Saturday. Right, we're looking forward to your input, and you can be friends with us on Twitter as well as WhatsApp. And do please let us know your thoughts and any comments that you might want to make. Right, let's talk about that Bipot and the commencement, which will be race number 2. But first of all, let's cross over to Darren Burrows. Darren, thanks for joining us, and give us your thoughts on this competitive graduation plate, which will be over the 1160, and that's off at 12:25. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Cecil. I like this horse, Time for Orchids, very strongly. She's found her best form. We know how good she is on her day, and it was great to see her back to winning ways last time out. She absolutely trotted up. The jockey never moved a muscle. She pulled 5 lengths clear, easing up. The 1160 is not a problem for her. She's drawn towards the outside, 6 out of 6, which is in her favor in the soft, and I think she'll win.
Yes, when it had that first run-up for the stable, that was Johan Janssen van Vuren. He was very bullish about the outcome of that first appearance for the stable. So you're confident enough to make it a win bet? Time for Orchids, bidding for that third win from 13 out of 0. Time for Orchids, would that be an ideal banker for that first leg of the Bipot?
She is a banker for me, Cecil. I was super impressed with her latest victory, but what I like more about her is she moved better to the start. I thought she was striding more fluently. If you watch that replay, I mean, she was climbing all over them, going through the 800 already, and she had to be shown daylight soon because she was going to clip heels if that didn't happen. And I think based on that, she just has to repeat that effort, and she'll certainly finish in the top 2. The best weighted is the Africa House, but he earned his rating over a mile, and he's been busy recently. I'm not too sure how he's going to go back over the 1160 without the blinkers. I think he might be caught for speed. So for that reason, I'm happy to bank a Time for Orchids.
All right, so that is Time for Orchids. Confidence from both our tipsters. That is Darren on the line and Daryl in studio. In fact, we're just going to confirm with Darren that this is one of his win bets. Is that the case, Darren, as far as race number 2 is concerned?
Yes, Cecil, I thought one of the best bets on the card. I do have another one a bit later.
Okay, so that is at 11 to 10, certainly good value for that win bet in race number 2. And let's just confirm, we are looking at the second, that is the Bipot, and this is courtesy of Daryl Marie. It is looking at leg 1 banker, and we are bookending with the Bipot with the banker in race number 7. So that is the banker, the 2 Time for Orchids in race number 2, and banker the 2 in race 7, which will be our feature on the afternoon. All right, so that is the Bipot getting underway at 12:25 with a graduation plate, and that will be race 2 on the card. All right, so we look forward to race number 3 of 10 at turffontein. This will be the start of the place accumulator. And again, we had that banker in the first leg of the Bipot, but I don't think that will be the case in race number 3, the first leg of the PA. Let us start with Darren. And your thoughts on race number 3, Darren. How competitive is the race?
Cecil, I thought a field race. I thought a very tricky race. I'm just hoping that Daryl can survive the PA, because I gave a number of horses chances. I've looked at indirect form and collateral form, and nothing stands out to me. So I see Crimson Forest priced up favourite, but she's also very limited. So I actually don't have a selection in this race.
So you suggest that we go very wide, as you intimated there. We'll hear from the man himself, who's going to give us a selection from for the PA from race number 3. How wide are you going in this first leg of the
PA? Cecil, I'm actually quite confident I'm going to get through this leg. I put 2 runners. Crimson Forest, number 8, and number 9, Play With Fire. Now, Crimson Forest, if you have a look at her form, since she's been stepped up in distance and fitted with the tongue tie, she's put in 2 decent efforts. You know, in her later start, I know Argus Sanction didn't have the strongest form coming into the race, but there were a few in that race that should go on and win races. Officer in Command to the rescue. I don't think it was a bad maiden field whatsoever. Have a look at the average merit rating in that race. It was a 75. She now drops to an average merit rating of a 64. So she does take a plunge in class over here, in my opinion. But if you like her, take note of number 9's run beyond Exhale. That's Play with Fire. Now, that was her first run over ground, and it was with blinkers. And I watched that replay, and she was doing it too hard in the early stages. And now the blinkers come off for the first time that she's been over the extended trip. So I think she's got a possibility of reversing the form with Crimson Forest. So I think 8 and 9 are the two to focus on over here.
All right, let's confirm Daryl's suggestions as far as the PA is concerned. Remember, we've got that banker in the fifth leg. That will be race number 7. I wondered that if that will be the case in the place accumulator itself. So it is 8 and 9, we know, in that first leg of the PA. Let's just have a look if there are any bankers as we proceed on. Yes, indeed. Troppo Veloce, very unlucky. That will be your banker in leg number 5, race number 7, the listed feature. And then at the back, if we've survived Troppo Veloce, we should be pretty comfortable with numbers 2, 7, and 10. Just a reminder that race 3 is the first leg of the PA, and that commences at 1 o'clock. As we look forward to Turffontein Saturday, we can confirm that Jared Penny, he'll be sidelined for a while, which is unfortunate, and we await a replacement jockey on number 6, Taxhaven. That is the first leg of the pick 6. Before we get to Daryl, how do you see race number 4? Are you bullish that Tunny Player will eventually get it right? Because somehow the ability seems to be there, but I don't know what the tactics are.
Yeah, he takes time to warm up in his races, Cecil. He tends to be out of his ground and finishes his races off best towards the end. So he gives you the impression that he's going to love the step up in distance. He now jumps from a mile to 2,000. But, you know, he has been very costly to follow, and we don't know how he's going to be moving down to the start on Saturday because this is pre-recorded. But being out of a Galileo mare, I think he's going to love the step up in trip. So I think he's a major player here. To the rescue, this horse is held on form by Mr. TikTok, number 1. But I get the feeling he needs to be bullied, this horse. He gives me the impression of Jet Dynasty, that he's going to improve with racing. But he could be not very good himself because we've expected more from him. But I think Gavin could be the right jock for him. I'd like to see him improve over the ground, but the race doesn't stop there. Mr. TikTok or Master TikTok comes into the play. Festival of Magic is open for improvement, and Dark Silver is not far behind on form. So I think you can focus on numbers 1, 3, 4, 7, and 9. But I've only put 3 and 7 into my play.
I get the impression that people have had enough already of Judgment Day, because I'm sure as we go to Darren in his pick 6, which we're going to have a look at in a few moments at time. Judgment Day, does that feature in the first leg at all, Darren?
No, not at all. I've given up on that one, but I do like Thunny Player. I think he's going to love the step up in trip. He does take time to unwind that big action. But another horse that's going to love it is To the Rescue. He was so far out of his ground last time out. He was given a vigorous ride from turning for home already, and he absolutely took off when the race was over. So if he can get into the race earlier, I can see him winning. Festival of Magic's not out of it. He ran behind Ryan's Boulevard in his comeback run, and I think Ryan's Boulevard is probably a banker in all bets a bit later on in the day. So I thought 1, 3, 4, 7, and 9, the same 5 selections as Daryl would see us through the pick 6.
All right, let us confirm that Judgment Day doesn't feature in that first leg of the pick 6 for either gentleman. And let's confirm Darren's selection for us. And he's got a banker, as he suggests, as we progress through that pick 6. 1, 3, 4, 7, and 9. And then that banker comes about in race number 7. And that will be the 3, which I tend to be in agreement with. And I'm sure Daryl will add his Troppo Veloce. And that is, of course, the Cullinan Blue from an informed stable of James Crawford, working on the high felt on behalf behalf of his father, Brett Crawford. That is race number 4, the first leg of the pick 6, and you should be on up by 13 at 35. I think the exotics could be the way to go on a Saturday. We get into the first jackpot. It is a 10-race program, so it will be the first of 2. That second one starting in race number 7. Let's talk about race number 5, a Singapore Pools Trophy 2024 Pinnacle Stakes. That's over the 1,000 meters, a very competitive starter to that jackpot. It's over the 1,000 meters, a field of 10 currently, and some useful sorts. I think the word hard knocker would certainly be appropriate. Daryl, how do you see race number 5? I know that you're going to be suggesting a jackpot before we get some input from Darren.
Yeah, Cecil, I think it's very competitive. I'm hoping I get through this leg. I've gone with numbers 4, 6, 7, and 9. Starting with Alula Star, she's best weighted in this race. She's a very talented filly, and she meets, who is it? Sean Terry's horse, Magic Tattoo, 3.5 kilograms better off. So I think she does have a possibility of reversing that form, but she's a natural inclusion for me. Magic Tattoo, you can see he's having his peak run after being gelded. Lovely improvement last time out when allowed to stride, so I think he's a play over here. Tread Swifty is a bit of a sneaker for me. I know it's on the sharp side for him, Cecil. It's probably best over a furlong further, but if you go back a few runs with Striker Stradom over the 1100 at Turffontein, he was very, very unlucky on that occasion, and he did have a possibility of winning that race, and this is 100 meters shorter. So when the others are going to be stopping, he's going to be staying on best of all. And then Cliffhanger, I thought he was soundly beaten last time out, but he did carry 61 kilograms. Now he's got 51. He's probably going to think he's running loose. So he's gone into my play. 4, 6, 7, and 9 for me.
4, 6, 7, and 9. Darren, are you in agreement as far as race number 5, or do you go wide at the likes of a 2-mover and shake, and maybe even a Luda Star? We know that it is a better over a further trip, but 1,000 meters last time out, and certainly did best work late behind rulership.
Yes, Alula Star, I've always thought she was best over 1160, and 1,000 meters, she gets into the race, but I think she's a length or 2 better over slightly further. Magic Tattoo was impressive last time out. It was his second run after a 5-month layoff, and he was only beaten half a length by rulership in a driving duel to the line. So having his peak run 54 kilos drawn towards the outside, I'm going to have to lean towards Magic Tattoo to confirm that form with Alula Star. Then you've got a horse like Cliffhanger, bottom weight, 51 kilos. He's speedy. He should be there. I thought Ozencare from the Peter stable, only with 52 kilos, also comes into the race with a realistic chance. So Mover and Shaker and Ipiko also got chances. My first choice being Magic Tattoo.
Thank you for that. Let us confirm the jackpot selection contributed by Daryl for that first of 2 jackpots. The selection's on screen, and I'm happy to see we've hit common ground in that third leg. It is going to be 2 Tropa Veloce and a Cullinan Blue, and if those 2 don't feature in that winner's box, and then it is another big payout as far as the jackpot is concerned. 14:10, that's when we expect to get underway with that first of 2 jackpots at Turffontein. Yet another competitive sprint event on Saturday at Turffontein, this time over the 1160. And a runner of interest, and we need to get Darren's input as far as the relocated number 2, MK's The Dream. I see on some forums is already at top of the boards. Is it because it is a home ground base now that is Tony Peter, who's deadly at Turffontein, or the abilities there to win a race like this?
Cecil, that's my first choice in the race, MK's Dreams, because when I saw this horse win his maiden, I said he's well above average. And then he was tested over a mile, maybe a bit too far, 1450, a little bit disappointing in his last 2 starts. But he's joined the Peter stable, and we know what Peter can do with a newcomer to the yard. They often run very well, and there has been market support. So Calvin Habib's ride, MK's Dreams, I'm going to say he's going to come back with a bang. If he runs in the top 3, that's also a good effort. Dangers, King of Venice, in his last start, he returned after a 10-month layoff and he won. It's his second run back. Silver Tudor dropping in trip, not out of it. and there's a couple of others with chances too.
Yes, indeed. Silver Cheetah is one of the runners in our feature, which comes up next. And certainly did give One Fell Swoop a good run for its money. In fact, One Fell Swoop will be in that feature, which we'll be discussing when we come back for race 7. Right, just as we round off, you've got a selection for us. It's a boxed exact. Are you including MK's Dream?
Absolutely. Cecil, if I knew this horse was fancied, I would have made him one of the better bets on the card. That Bloodstock sales race last time out was loaded with talent. In that race was Guy Gibson,
Yes.
who ran 4th, and 5th was Biofarmer.
Yes.
I think 3rd or 2nd was Give Me Another Chance. And we all know what Purple Pitch has gone and done. So if I knew he was fit and well in his return, I certainly would have banked it in all bets, but I'm in the dark because he has been off the track for quite some time.
And recently gelded as well.
Yeah. Dreamland, I find it very interesting that they put the tongue tie on him because this horse shows good early toe and then he just fades away to nothing on occasion. And I get a feeling that perhaps he's choking up. So with the tongue tie on, I'm expecting a lot of improvements and he shows a lot of pace. So Luke is drawn alongside him. Silver Tudor could get a lovely toe through and he's at his best over this course and distance. So I've gone all of numbers 1, 2 and 4. But if the money follows through with MK's Dreams and the word from the yard is that he's fancied, I think he'll take a power beating.
Well, there you have it. It is, of course, the Southern Grapevine busy already. 1, 2, and 4 are the suggestions for that boxed exact. It should certainly be a good starter or a good lead-in to our feature, which we'll be discussing next. Daryl suggested exacta 1, 2, and 4, race number 6, and there it is on the screen. That'll be race 6. This is a 4U mare rated 84, newly gelded and relocated to the Tony Peters stable. MK's Dream, a popular selection with both our analysts. All right, so that feature that I've alluded to a couple of times already this show, and it is race number 7, the 2024 renewal of the listed Betway Swallows the Stake, and that is over the 1160. Now, the two principals are 2, Troppo Veloce, and 3, Cullen and Blue, should be a great match race. The former very unlucky last time out. Did shed a shoe, was the recast, and was doing best work later behind Golden Sickle, who was yet to be unbeaten over the 1,000 meters at Turffontein. So Troppo Veloce, Daryl's selection. Let's hear from Darren as to what he likes for race number 7.
Cecil, I like this horse, Cullen and Blue, a lot. You know, she's had the 2 comeback runs, super impressive in both. I like it because she's given a patient ride and her turn of foot is amazing. Troppo Veloce, I think she's a 1,000-meter horse. She's got that short burst of speed and she has been tested over further, hasn't done much. They are both drawn next to each other towards the stand side of the track. So I think it is a match race, but I've got to be in the camp of Cullen and Blue, and hopefully she can follow in her dam's footsteps, Gibraltar Blue, as we know how good she was.
Yes, indeed. And just the last word on that, interviewing the trainer, James Crawford, after the last race, as well as the jockey, it is a bit of an intentional ploy to be slightly slow away because that she tends to do a lot of overdo it in the early stages of the race itself. So as you say, draw next to Troppo Veloce, I think that could be a very, very advantageous thing. Daryl, your last word?
Yeah, Cecil, I've been very impressed with Cullen and Blue. You know, in her penultimate start, I actually fancied her to make a winning return, and she won with ease on that occasion. Followed up last time out. I mean, she really put that field to bed a long way from home. I mean, she was extending beautifully at the finish. Form line concerns me. Second place horse, unplaced in her next start. Third placed horse, unplaced in her next start. And she beat Mythical Dream and Lucy in the Sky, Storm Player. And she picked up a hefty penalty. I respect her, but personally, I've got a preference for Troppo Veloce. Now, you touch on the fact that she had excuses last time out, and the winner got a flyer out the pens. She came out sideways, and she was on the back foot from the jump. She never looked comfortable over 1,000. I like the fact that she's stepping over 1160 again. And you know who was 4 lengths behind her last time out? Ziasha.
Ziasha, yes.
Ziasha came up and bolted up
Absolutely.
in his next start. So I think it's a match race, preference for 2 for me.
Could we still suggest a box exactor? Because I think the exactor is the value bet on the total generally. If you do get the lesser fancied one running in front of the fancied one come race time,
Yeah,
I think you actually show profit.
I'll be disappointed if they don't fight it out.
Thank you so much. So Cullinan Blue is the selection from Darren for race number 7, the feature on the afternoon. And we're looking at Darryl looking for a big runner from Troppo Veloce, in spite of the 1,000 meters looking to be the optimum trip. 3, Cullinan Blue, a confident selection, another win selection from and suggestion from Darren Burrows for race number 7. So this will be a last chance to get involved in a pick 3 with the running off race number 8 at Turffontein, a novice handicap, and that'll be over the 1,600 meters. Just before we turn it to our suggested final win bet on the afternoon from Darren Burrows, we turn to Darryl, and an interesting race number 8. I do recall number 2, Presley, was due to make that post-maiden appearance and was scratching most recently. And the one Ryan's Boulevard, on the other hand, at Turffontein over the shorter trip of 1,400 meters, impressed all and sundry, as I'm sure we'll get confirmation shortly. But for you, what would the suggested bet be?
Yeah, Cecil, you know, Ryan's Boulevard, we gave him a chance last time out, and he didn't disappoint, because this horse came to the track with a huge reputation. And from day one, I said he's going to be a much better horse once gelded, and that was the case. And he's such a big son of William Longsword. I thought that run would have certainly brought him on in leaps and bounds, because he's going to strip even fitter this time around. He beat a nice horse in Midwinter Wind, who's a racing certainty next week. And I like his chances. But Presley, you touch on the fact that he was meant to run. I think he was scratched with the vet certification, so I'm not 100% sure if he is going to line up. If he doesn't, I think Ryan's Boulevard will take all the beating. But Presley caught my eye. He didn't have things go his own way last time out in running. And despite that, he quickened up beautifully. And the way he ran away at them from them at the finish, the extra 200 meters is certainly going to be in his favor. So 1 and 2 to fight it out. If the 2 doesn't line up, I think the 1 will take all the beating.
Well, Mr. Burrows, you can confirm the confidence about the 1 at Ryan's Boulevard and your bullishness as far as race number 8 is concerned.
A very confident selection, Ryan's Boulevard. His first run is a gelding. He went to the front. Midwinter Wind moved up to him strongly at the 400, and he just extended away the final 200 meters. It was encouraging. The step up in trip should not be a problem, because he was running very strongly to the line. And from a good draw, he can just dictate at his own fractions or sit one off the leader. And I think he'll give that winning kick. A very confident selection to make it 2 in a row, Ryan's Boulevard.
I think we're all with you as far as the Ryan's Boulevard is concerned, but a very competitive novice handicap, which will see the start of the last pick 3. Let's confirm the confidence from Darren as he makes it a win bet, a confident win bet. And if we look back to his pick 6, it was a banker in the penultimate leg. Ryan's Boulevard, number 1 in race number 8.